Countries are getting better at keeping their promises. But the man behind all of these figures is Professor John Kirton, director of the G7 Research Group at the University of Toronto. He joins us from Toronto now. Dr. Kirton, thank you for joining us.
Good to be with you.
So you're measuring these commitments. They're face-to-face meetings, and really people have to take politicians' words for it, as far as I understand. There's no legally binding commitment. But why is it, looking closer at your data, that the likes of, say, Canada can be trusted more than the likes of, say, Italy?
Well, I think Canada, along with the United Kingdom, has an extraordinary historical experience through restricted membership summits of this kind, dating back to the Commonwealth Heads of the Government meeting since 1948, even the Imperial War Council of 1917. So we both know that to succeed as global powers on which we depend so much, the rest of the world, we've got not only to be at the central councils, but to make our contribution if we're going to be invited back, and to listen to and have others follow while we're there.
Well, there's a lot at stake this year. We mentioned the health and tax commitments. You also have Boris Johnson and Joe Biden, not political soulmates naturally, so they may be making commitments through, say, gritted teeth. Do you think we might see more of them rescind on their commitments this year?
I don't think so. What we do know is that since the start, G7 members have complied with their health commitments, and I'd add the climate change commitments, the development commitments, at about 75%. That's a very solid start. And of course, with the ones on COVID from last year, from Donald Trump's summit, as you noted, they're up to 94%. So the Cornwall Summit really has strong winds in its sails from the back. And I think Boris Johnson has sensed that, and that's why he boldly said publicly the other day, I'm going to get my fellow G7 leaders to vaccinate everyone in the world, everywhere, by the end of next year.
But is it difficult to keep track of which of these commitments matters the most when you've got 14 made in 1975 and 5,403 made last year?
No, what we do is you mentioned the 5,000, we've assessed about 500. We picked the priority commitments depending on which ones represent the heart and soul of the summit, what it most wants to do. And Boris Johnson has clearly said it's about vaccinating everyone. So I'm sure he'll make a lot of COVID commitments, vaccination, and we'll be monitoring a lot of that. But he's got not only on climate change to get off to a fast start at Cornwall, because he's got to give a big boost to his much bigger summit on climate change at Glasgow, where all the UN will be there in November. So I think it's going to pull Cornwall into a success, as well as being pushed from the momentum that Joe Biden and the other leaders will bring.
Very tricky one to end on. When we talk about open democracy and human rights, the function of the G7, what are the commitments most likely to be kept on China's role over Hong Kong and Russia's role over Belarus?
What we do know is that the highest compliance comes with the G7 commitments on political security. That includes, of course, nuclear non-proliferation. It includes regional security, I think Ukraine, for example. And since the G7 summit was founded with a very clear, distinct mission to protect with its own countries, think election interference, but to promote globally the values of open democracy and human rights, think Hong Kong, very much, I think, they'll be true to their word, and in the commitments they make, Hong Kong, the Uyghurs, and so much else, will strong commitments and strong compliance as well.
Well, we look forward to find out if they do keep their promises this year. Professor John Kirton, thank you so much for joining us.
Pleasure.